in.
Hi, Ash.
Hey, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you so much. Victoria from Gardner.
Absolutely.
Here's my card.
Thank you.
May I take a seat?
Please.
Thank you so much.
So I'm sorry I've even made you come. I'm so busy right now. I'm not even sure if I can consider anything new right now on the plate, but I just want to apologize in advance. I'm just super overwhelmed.
No, totally understandable. Just to elaborate on that a little bit more, Tamara had said that you would have 20 minutes today, so
Yes,
could you explain to me a little bit about what has changed?
Oh, I've been flung into this position. I'm not really certain that I should be the guy running this. And,
Congratulations on the promotion.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, there's just a budget issue going on. I need to cut costs, and
Okay.
and I have no idea exactly how that's going to happen. Where we're spending too much, things like that. So
Right.
I'm just overwhelmed with that at the moment.
Well, totally understandable. One of the reasons I am here today is because I really did just want to learn a little bit more about you, your role, and your company, since I've worked with a lot of companies like yours before.
Okay.
And so I just really wanted this to be a joint learning experience to kind of figure out if there's any way to make this budget issue or any other issues that you're experiencing alleviated a little bit.
Okay.
So do you think 20 minutes could still be okay for today?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. So do you feel comfortable moving on?
Yeah.
All right,
Absolutely.
perfect. So thank you again for meeting with me. I know, like you said, you have a very busy schedule, so I'll jump right into it.
Sounds good.
So to tell you a little bit about myself, since we've never met, I did go to the University of Georgia.
Okay.
And one of the things I loved the most about that environment was the Georgia Arches. I don't know if you know a lot about what they symbolize,
No.
but they symbolize determination and strength because you can't walk under them until you've officially graduated. And so it's supposed to be the sign of perseverance.
Okay.
I researched arches a little bit more, and it turns out that in architecture, arches are the most elegant but the strongest structures that exist.
Mm-hmm.
But if one thing is wrong with them, gravity takes over and they can crumble.
Absolutely.
So I couldn't help but think that that reminded me of exactly what I do here at Gardner.
All right.
That every company I think of like an arch. It can have its strong suits, it can have its weak links, but what really matters is being able to come in and find solutions that make that arch stronger. So that's what I'm here to try and figure out if we can do today, to see if we can make that arch even stronger for you.
Gotcha.
So I put together a little bit of an agenda and some things that I usually talk about with companies, but we'll lead it as we will, and we'll figure out really what are some ways that we can improve today.
Gotcha.
All right, great. So first, congratulations again. Tell me a little bit about this new role that you have.
So I am, a chief information officer, but my strong suit is networking. I'm more of a networking specialist.
Okay.
So that's where I feel like this job really needs an MBA to be running this. But I oversee a few people, and I am an intermediary with an outsourced networking company called NoWire, and my job is to oversee the operations and, take care of the day-to-day in that operation.
Okay, and you said that you had a few people under you. Is that like a set of managers that you delegate tasks to?
Well, I have 4 application specialists. They're helping with the day-to-day, and I have 3 other employees, overseeing other activities.
Okay, and you brought up a budget issue. Could you talk to me a little bit about what the current budget looks like?
Well, it's that where we're spending money and where we're not spending enough is kind of foreign to me. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Okay.
I understand. I mean, I've got this huge contract on my desk right now where we're transitioning from desktop computers over to notepads and tablets for the whole staff. So that's overwhelming all in itself.
That's huge.
Yeah, I'm trying.
How did that decision come about?
I'm not certain. This contract landed on my desk. It makes sense to me why we would be updating, but it's a priority apparently. So I need to go through that and search that out. But really, I've been given one simple task, and it is to cut costs. So diving in.
Okay. So other than cutting costs, did the rest of your executive team give you any sort of way that they expected you to do that, or they threw this contract down and said run with it?
No, they're like, take over.
Okay, great.
Ash, this is your specialty now.
Okay, so what are some of your goals, some of your visions? How are you going to go about doing this?
Well, I have an end game, and that is to reduce costs. And how to go about that, I have, I've been thinking about it a lot. This is why I'm overwhelmed at the moment.
Right, of course.
So obviously, like Pat's, there are opportunities. I'm thinking, I am a networking specialist that is outsourcing. We can bring that in house, but is that going to make sense on paper? I don't know. It
Right.
seems like an avenue now, just because it's what I do best.
Okay.
But other than that, I'm really looking for some guidance in a way, right? Something,
Right.
a little bit of help. This is a new position, but everybody seems confident I could do it. Right?
Well, that's awesome. I'm sure that they really do believe in you, but it's very overwhelming. It's a lot to take on at once, especially with this new endeavor. So, in trying to figure out which tablets or which new technologies to bring in for all of these employees, how are you going about figuring out how to make that transition? What's your research technique look like?
Well, we're using Dell.
Okay.
That seems obvious. That seems obvious right now. Now, the nuts and bolts of how that's going to happen are really where we have, what I outsource to, what I delegate the work to. So I understand that the rollout will, it won't be as smooth as it could be. I mean, hopefully it will, but that's what this is full of, right? This 50-page contract here that I'm trying my hardest to avoid. But yeah, at that point, it's the nuts and bolts of that are beyond me at the moment.
Okay, and in regards to contracts, how do you go about negotiating them or even sifting through those 50 pages?
One page at a time.
One page at a time.
Yeah.
Okay, and you don't have any sort of a team or legal advisory board that's going through this contract with you?
Not at the moment.
Okay.
Not at the moment, no.
Okay. So how do you feel about having to sift through that contract?
Intimidated?
Okay, and if some sort of a mistake were to arise, what would that mean for your role?
Well, I likely wouldn't be the chief information officer for much longer.
Right, okay. So that's not good.
Yeah.
So we need to eliminate any possible mistakes. Okay, so you have this big new endeavor coming in with going from desktops to tablets. You don't have any sort of legal advisory board looking over those contracts. You're sifting through these 50 pages plus. What's the average size of this contract, like money-wise?
About $2 million.
About a $2 million contract. Okay. And I know you're trying to cut costs. So again, if some sort of a mistake were to be found in this contract and something were to fall through, what would that mean?
Well, I think it seems pretty obvious, right? It's clear that this would be a pretty big monetary loss for the company.
Right. Okay, so I know that one of the end goals of Intergraph as well is to find these tech solutions and to be like the end goal. So you mentioned the outsourcing relationship that you have with no buyer, you mentioned. So what exactly does that relationship entail?
Well, our networking systems are being outsourced through them. It's a specialty company. They do that, primarily. And I'm the liaison between the company and everything that they're doing. And it just seems, like I said, that's what I do. And I feel like that it just seems like the point that we could save money. Like, why are we outsourcing it? I feel like I could hire a few people and do it for cheaper. But if that's the case or not, I'm uncertain. How I would quantify that is still beyond me.
Okay. How do you think that it would affect your position if you had some sort of guidance or some sort of partnership with someone that could be of advice to you and be like some sort of advisory council to you?
I mean, if I had a big brother helping me along the way, it would be incredibly grateful. Yeah.
Right. And how would the rest of your executive team feel about you having this big brother with you?
Well, I mean, they'd obviously have confidence. There would be less to worry about, for sure.
Okay. And if you had more credibility in your role, how do you think that would affect how they looked at you in this new role?
Well, hopefully I have enough credibility, right? I'm trying to fake it till I make it, right?
Right. That's what we're all trying to do here.
I know. I don't want that guard to fall. So absolutely. When you lose credibility with your staff, production is always hampered.
Right, exactly. Okay, so I know we've covered a lot and you're very short on time, so I'll just go ahead and recap so I make sure that I got everything straight. So you're going on this big new endeavor with Dell. You're going from desktops to tablets for all of your employees. But the number one goal for you right now is to cut costs. You're not exactly sure how to go about that because you have this budget. You need to cut costs. You need to add costs. You have this huge contract with $2 million coming in. Not really sure what to do with it. And ultimately, you need to keep that credibility up that you're coming into and keep the rest of your staff really confident in you. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
So I have put together a little presentation for you today to kind of go over some of the ways that Gartner has helped companies with some of these weaknesses in their arch, if you will, in the past.
Gotcha.
So would you like to watch that presentation and see if there's some ways that we could take these weak links, make them a little bit stronger, and ultimately give you some sort of a big brother to lean on?
Sure up that keystone. Let's do it.
All right, awesome. So, we are a tech company, so I brought an iPad with me today to go over the presentations. Let me go ahead and pull it up for you.
Mhm.
So, a little overview about what Gartner is. I know you probably didn't get too much information from Tamara, but we don't sell technology, we sell solutions.
Okay.
So that's a big misconception of what we do. We are a completely unbiased company, meaning that we don't pair up with any technologies.
Okay.
So, how you're outsourcing to NoWire right now, we would have no sort of connection to any other company. You would be working with us for us to find you specialized solutions for whatever's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So we actually had a study done on us by ZBNet, which is like a technology source that reviews other tech companies in the industry, and they named us one of the #1 non-biased companies.
Okay.
So that's pretty cool for companies to see.
Absolutely.
Also, we have over 1,200 analysts that are working to come up with these solutions, and almost 1,400 researchers that are going in and trying to find these new technologies.
Mm-hmm.
But really what I'm looking for you is the way in which we can help you cut costs and also give you some sort of a big brother, because that's one of the biggest things that we do.
All right.
So to talk about that big brother, we have what's called the executive partnership.
Okay.
So the executive partnership is basically a way in which we match you up with a profile. So we have your profile, your credentials, all of your goals and aspirations for your role.
Okay.
Then we match you up with another CIO in the industry who's working for Gartner primarily to be that big brother for you.
Okay.
So I put together a few sample CIO portfolios. You can see they've had expansive experience in the industry, ranging across industries as well, to prove that they've really have had their foot in the door dealing with these different budget issues and things of that nature. So could you see how, say you were paired up with Cindy and she was able to come in there and be that big brother, big sister to you?
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like you would have more confidence and more of a steady ground going forward in these decisions?
Well, like I mentioned, that would help you. That would be helpful, and
Mm-hmm.
it seems so. It's tailor made to this industry. Like she's
Tailor-made. So
Okay.
we have thousands of profiles,
okay.
and we go in and it's kind of, I don't want to make it sound like it's like a dating site, but for all intents and purposes, we match up those profiles so that you do have a sense of camaraderie with the person that you're working with.
Sounds good.
Yeah, exactly. So
This seems like a whole world of information, if not two. And with the thousands of other information articles already on my desk, it just seems so overwhelming at this moment.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
So like I've got to let that out. Like is there like so aside from the Big Brother role, can you help me understand where this can help with my budget situation? Because as much advising as I need, the budget situation is first and foremost.
Yeah, so first of all, before I get into budget, I want to go ahead and alleviate any concerns on this end. So are you concerned that this would be adding time?
Well, like I mentioned, just right now where I'm at, I have a main concern. I have a hard time
Okay.
thinking about anything other than this budget
All right.
situation. So I'm seeing all these articles and it just
Right.
seems like overwhelming at the moment.
All right, so let's get right into the budget. So we do have a tool called the IT budget tool,
Okay.
which is the way that our analysts take everything all the information that you give them. You can show them every single thing that you're spending money on, and they put it into a comparison summary, which allows you to, say, present to your executive board or even have a steady list for yourself going of everything that you're spending in comparison to competitors or other people that you want to input on this chart.
Okay.
So ultimately, this is your justification to yourself and to your executive board that your budget is working.
And how do you get the information about other companies in this same position?
Exactly. So are you concerned that we would be sharing information, there would be a security
There's
issue?
a bit, I mean, right, I guess in the future there would be an issue, but more so I'm just the accuracy.
Okay, so in regards to the accuracy, that goes back to the research analyst that we were talking about. So part of Gartner's tools is having over 135,000 sources of
Gotcha.
research to go in and find this information that's tailored to you.
Okay.
So say you wanted to find, I know some of your top competitors are Aviva and Bentley Systems. Say you wanted to figure out how much they were spending on outsourcing, and if they really needed to outsource, say to no wire, and whether or not you could eliminate that.
Okay.
You could see on this comparison summary and figure that out, and this is your justification.
I could see what it would cost in-house in comparison.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, so you would be able to have all of this laid out, and then you could look at it and be like, this is a column we need to change. I know you mentioned not knowing exactly where to take the money from, where to put it in.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that this would allow you to know how to make that decision?
This is what I'm talking about. This helps. Okay.
Okay, perfect. Also, I want to save you more money. You talked about the $2 million contract. Gartner also has what's called a contract review, which is another team that we bring in sort of as your legal advisory board.
Gotcha.
On average, Gartner has been known to save 10 to 20% on contracts, on car insurance, no, on contracts,
Real.
because of mistakes found. This has nothing to do with the credibility of your 2 eyes looking at it. It's just having 10 more eyes looking at it.
All right.
So let's take the conservative approach. Say we save 10% on this contract.
Yeah.
That's a $200,000 savings that could go into the new budget, that could go into these Dell tablets.
Yeah.
How do you think it would affect your overall budget and your role here if you had a $200,000 savings?
Well, I'd clearly take all the credit. Yeah, absolutely.
Right, absolutely. Okay, so
that sounds great.
Okay, great. So we have that contract review. We have the ability to go in, save you that type of money, and that's just one contract.
Mm-hmm.
So we have the $200,000. We have that executive partnership that is that big brother, big sister. Even though your number one priority is cutting costs, we have the tools to do that. But then we also have that partnership to have someone next to you. You can meet with them as often as you want. It's not as often as you want, and you have that camaraderie.
All right.
So how do you feel like these decisions and going forward would affect your role and some of the pressures that you're feeling?
Well, you kind of hit on a couple things that do matter to me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
The big brother, I think the advisory position seems to help. I mean, this is a new position, daunting in a lot of ways, but
right, of course.
But I like that. That it seems to hit it right on the nose as far as shining some light on the darker areas of my job. So
I like to do. I want to strengthen that arch.
Right. Awesome. That sounds all right. But yeah, what's so where do we go from here?
Yeah, so I mean, I would love to get you set up. I know that you are on a timeline. You want to make these decisions, and you are this decision maker in this process.
Gotcha.
So I would love to go ahead.
Well, unfortunately, I cannot make the decision in this process. I have to run everything by Jimmy, our COO.
Okay.
That is not something I can do without his permission. But before I even pretend to ask him or anything, how much is this?
Okay.
I mean, we're looking at budgets. I can't get away from it. My mind is
right.
You're going to save me $200, but how much is this going to cost?
Right, exactly. So this is costing $50,000. It's a $50,000 contract for the entire year.
Okay.
So there's a few of the add-ons that are obviously optional that could go into it. Let me go ahead and pull that up for you. So you have for the CIOs only. So year one is the $50,000 contract.
Mm-hmm.
That's one flat rate that you would pay. You're paying the $50,000, but then you're going ahead saving potentially even more. Mm-hmm. You're saving $200,000 on one contract. So
are those guaranteed? Are those guaranteed? I mean, 20% is a lot of money. Or 10%.
Yeah, right. So I'm of course taking the more conservative approach because I don't want to give you a number that is outlandish.
Okay.
It's also why I brought testimonials with me today, because other companies like Laird Plastics, Henry Schein, these are all testimonials I brought to leave with you that you can confer with Jimmy about and contact these people. These are all people that were skeptical of these prices and these savings as well.
All right.
But it happened for them.
Gotcha.
So that $50,000, you're saving $200,000, which means that you have an addition of $150,000 going into your budget.
I can see that.
So I know that you said that you have to confer with Jimmy, but is there any way that we could go ahead and get this signed today?
No, there's not.
Okay, so how about a follow-up meeting potentially Monday at 3? Maybe Jimmy can be here and we can figure this all out?
Yeah, I'd be happy to call Jimmy and set that up. That seems all right.
All right, yeah. So let's agree for now, Monday at 3. Thank you so much for your time today. I really do appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
No doubt.
You're a great buyer.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. I didn't put the stack of papers on this.
Yeah, no, that was great. When you slammed down the contract, I love it. I love it. Right, that was fun.
You didn't go to Georgia.
Right.
Did you? No, you didn't.
It's still rolling. It's still rolling.